Okay, this is my first live stream for this channel. I have been testing live streaming recently on my music channel, which is Donak RV. And this is just the third time I've used it, so excuse me if it's a little bit awkward. So this is a second video following up from the first video I did about my research on smart contract platforms and layer ones. So if you've been following that, my research on this channel about crypto projects, this is the second report. So maybe you'll find this interesting. I'm going to share some resources that I've picked up on over the years, basically different websites that I found useful. I'm assuming that you can see what I see on my screen. So I'm looking at all this research. Just let me go there. I'm going to move it up and down. So this is starting with CoinMarketCap, but you can see this is quite exhaustive, and I just do this bit by bit. I add a little bit each day, maybe just 20 minutes of research, copying and pasting, getting screenshots. And I've done several reports starting, well, I've been doing it for quite a while, for a few years, but the recent format has been about a year, since 2024. And I do it about every 3 months. I kind of just go through and add little bits. Now, and these are the different platforms I've been looking at, or different projects. So Ethereum mainly. I haven't really been looking at Bitcoin because Bitcoin is just the safest asset, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. I know a lot of people disagree with it, but the market's basically saying it is the safest asset in crypto. Not that crypto is very safe at all, but it's a high risk, high return kind of thing. So just a bit about me. I'm just a retail investor. I've just invested a little bit. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've lost some, but I've just been investing a little bit of my income because it is so risky. I lost a little bit in the Celsius debacle, if you remember that, a few years ago. However, I got about 75% of it back. I had, if you don't know about Celsius, it was a new crypto project that allow you to lend out your Bitcoin and get like 5% interest on it. And so it was quite a lot of hype at the time. So I did deposit a bit of Bitcoin onto the system, and then it collapsed and I lost that. But eventually got some back via Coinbase, and they gave me some Ethereum instead. So, and a little bit of Bitcoin and a bit of Ethereum. But anyway, you know, I got something and I learned some lessons. Anyway, so I've made a lot of mistakes, but the reason why I do this research is I've just found it fascinating. These are kind of new financial systems that are in their infancy really at the moment, except for Bitcoin. And I really feel that they're going to take over the world one day. And they're kind of going to make the same impact that the internet has made over the last 20 years. So for example, how now we're doing everything online, like banking and shopping and everything. So I think this will be the next iteration where currency and value is all intertwined in these cryptocurrencies. And it's going to have a profound change, I think, on how wealth is stored, and it's kind of like a level playing field for everyone around the world to participate in a global economic system, rather than being kind of stuck in different nations with their currencies and their problems. But however, it is a very, very risky, and a lot of these projects are probably going to fade and not do very well. But so far, Bitcoin just has been growing and growing. Ethereum has done very well, but the last 2 to 3 years, it's been going down against both Bitcoin and the US dollar, really. I mean, I was buying it in little bits when it was like $3,000, 4,000 US dollars. It's come down to under 2,000 US dollars now. And there are a lot of doubters out there, but it's still the biggest smart platform, smart contract platform. So it's interesting to see where it'll go. Solana is the big contender, really, and I see it taking a big bite out of market share, but I don't see it overtaking Ethereum yet, because it hasn't overtaken another big chain, which is Binance. And so, yeah, I'm just seeing how things go. Anyway, I'm just a retail investor. I'm not really an expert, but I'll share some resources. So I've also copied and pasted some interesting things I've learned over the years. One of these, if you are getting into Ethereum and smart contract platforms and you want to invest in it, a useful thing to learn about is MEV, and you'll probably hear about it. I heard a lot about it and never really understood it, and I found this YouTube article about it. I'll copy and paste and put that in the browser here. It's just a bit slow. Yeah, so MEV as a framework for valuing asset ledgers. So if you search that in YouTube, you'll find this video. Anyway, it's basically, if you're new to crypto, it's basically how the miners or the node operators who organize the blocks can extract a little bit of extra value. So it says here, the economic value that can be extracted from block production in excess of the standard block reward and gas fees by including, excluding, and changing the order of transactions in a block. So there's good MEV and bad MEV. Bad MEV is basically where they rip off other people paying for transactions, and people will pay a lot more for their transactions than they otherwise would because of bad MEV. So it's not something retail investors can do much about, but it is an issue in the industry. Anyway, in my first video, which is here, you can watch that later if you're interested in my first report. And I looked at general economic knowledge about the Federal Reserve and the printing of US dollars, which is kind of essential to understand when you're investing, because that is the whole system we're in at the moment. The US dollar is the reserve currency, and that's what did they say? It's the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry, meaning that it's the best fiat currency that's available, really, and all other countries have the same fiat system and are probably doing worse in that their countries are printing more. So I'm in Australia. The Australian dollar has been getting weaker compared to the US dollar. It's now about 62 cents. So $1 is 62 US cents. I mean, it used to be 65, 66. I remember it was up in the 80s. I think, 10, 15 years ago, it was almost on par when I guess the Australian mining sector was doing well. So the Australian dollar has just been getting weaker and weaker. And the American dollar itself has been getting weaker. So that's why people buy Bitcoin basically, or gold. And that's why crypto is becoming more and more important, even though it's risky and it's hard for people to understand. So let me get back to here. So you can look at my video if you like. I kind of just took snapshots of all my research here. Other central banks print a lot of money, but they're bringing down their interest rates. And yeah, so you can look at that. I'll just go down and I'm going to skip down here to where I was originally, which is looking at CoinMarketCap. Okay. Now, I'll just share with you some other resources I've got in the tabs here. So another good website I like to follow is this one, looking at altcoin season and Bitcoin season. Again, if you're new to crypto, altcoins technically are all the other cryptocurrencies apart from Bitcoin. So Bitcoin being the safest currency. Let's go to CoinMarketCap. So basically there's Bitcoin. And if you look up the top here, if you can see my my arrow, it shows the dominance of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is currently at 63.4% of the whole crypto market. And that basically means it's the most important and it's the safest currency, safest cryptocurrency in crypto. And it's the best investment in the long run for all currencies and probably all assets really at the moment. But altcoins are all the others. And as you can see, there are currently 14 million different coins, different cryptocurrencies. And that's been increasing. If I click on that. And last 24 hours, there's been 77,000 cryptocurrencies created. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, a lot of them will be meme coins. So that's the problem. I mean, the cryptocurrency market is very lucrative, but apart from Bitcoin, what the hell do you buy? And Ethereum is the next best bet. But over the last few years, Ethereum hasn't been doing great. It's down under 2,000 US dollars. So that's why we talk about altcoins and the altcoin season. They do include USDC and USDT as altcoins sometimes, but they're what we call stable coins. They're always pegged to the US dollar. And basically, apart from Bitcoin, they're kind of the lifeblood in crypto because you can use that and not worry about the crazy volatility in crypto. So I have bought a few USDT coins and I've put them in some lending platform and I'm getting about 4%. So I'm not going to make a lot of money from that, but it's safer than Australian dollars. And I'm able to do it now with DeFi. So that's kind of revolutionary. And I've heard that there's a lot of people in different countries, especially in, I guess, places like Turkey and South America, where there's big inflation problems, that this is the way to go. If you're earning a salary in that fiat currency, you put your savings in USDT or USDC, you put it on DeFi, you get a bit of a yield, and that's the best way to save, really. Of course, you can put some into Bitcoin, which could be up or down 20% in next week. But over the long run, it'll probably just keep going up. So that's altcoins, and that's the situation of altcoins. That's why this website is very useful. And you can see we are deeply in Bitcoin season still, and we're supposed to be in a bull market, but really Bitcoin and a few others, maybe Solana, has been doing okay. It shows the top performers over the last 90 days here, and Bitcoin hasn't done great here. Only one coin, FTN, whatever that is, it's got 1%. So crypto market has taken a hit, but it does have 1 year, I think, somewhere. There's a bit of a latency here, I'm afraid. Anyway, that's very useful. You can check that out. Look up blockchaincenter.net EN altcoin season index. You can just Google altcoin season index, you'll probably find it. Next one is looking at Ethereum. So if you're new to crypto again, and my channel is for people new to crypto, so I'm basically explaining a lot of things that people in crypto already know, but if you're just checking it out, I hope I can help those who are new. So this is looking at L2 chains on Ethereum, and the way Ethereum is growing is not just to grow its one main currency and chain, but to allow smaller chains to exist on top of it. And that allows them to have faster transactions and very cheap fees. You can see here that the fees now for most of these networks are under 1 cent. Except Linear is 1.3 cents. Ethereum itself, it used to be over $1 quite frequently. It used to be $10 back in the day. They have brought the prices down a lot. Brought the prices down quite a lot. So now it's only 75, not even 75 cents. It's 7 cents. So that, I mean, one of the problems is not many people are using Ethereum these days because it is expensive, but the price has come down, and they are constantly making improvements to the chain to make it cheaper, to make it more scalable, to make it more efficient. So that is called fees.growthepie.xyz. It looks at transactions per second here. That's the most. So Base, which was created by Coinbase, a big exchange in America, that has quite a lot of transactions per second there. Okay. Another one for these layer 2s on Ethereum is called rollup.wtf. Let me just refresh that. All right, I'll just skip this and I'll go on to the next one. Let me just check that, yeah, my screen's still visible. Okay, the next one is looking at some different fast chains. So if you're new to crypto, there are some common layer 1 chains that are competing now with Ethereum. They are a lot faster and a lot cheaper, and you may have heard of some of them. Let me go back to the CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap is a good reference place to start. And as you can see, Bitcoin has the most market cap. It's worth $1.8 trillion. Now, Ethereum is only $200 billion. But it's the main smart contract platform, which Bitcoin Bitcoin is technically not a smart contract platform. It's just the original cryptocurrency, which is a great store of value. The thing about smart contract platforms is it's more programmable. You can put different software and programs that can do different things with your money. So when I talked about lending out USDC in DeFi, that's Ethereum. Ethereum was the first chain to do that. However, there are many competitors, and the next the next big one is Solana, and that has been growing over the last few years, and many people believe it will even overtake Ethereum one day. I'm a bit skeptical about that, but BNB is also another big competitor to Ethereum. It's also a smart contract platform, but BNB, the chain, was created by the exchange called Binance. Binance is the biggest on-ramp exchange, which is allowing people to buy cryptocurrencies on exchanges. So other smart contract platforms are Cardano. Sui is another very, very fast chain, and people say that Sui may be a big competitor with Solana. Avalanche is another one which is very popular. It's got good gaming. So there's some of the main ones. And going back to this, looks at latency with finality. And finality is not just the speed, it's when everything's confirmed on the blockchain. As far as my knowledge, to the best of my very non-technical knowledge. So you can see here the fastest chains. It looks like Aptos, which is 637 milliseconds. Then Sui. Sui has two metrics here. It's got the fast path and the consensus path, which is 20 seconds. There's Base. Base is a layer 2 on Ethereum. Optimism is also a layer 2 on Ethereum. Avalanche, Near, another competitor's Polygon. There's Solana. So Solana is finalized after 14 seconds. So it's not really a big deal. I mean, when you're using Solana, it'll go through very quickly. It'll seem instant. It's just after 14 seconds, it's completely confirmed. That's the best of my knowledge. So it's not really a big deal. So now the next really good resource I like to use is called Token Terminal. TokenTerminal.com. This has heaps of different metrics that you can check out. And it's looking at these smart contract platforms. Like I mentioned, we've got Ethereum here. We've got Solana. So Solana is leading the way in terms of active users. And you can see here for monthly active users, Solana has, this is the latest. Solana has 84 million. BNB chain, which I mentioned was created by Binance, is the next. It's only 18 million. And then it's got another chain, BNB, which is I think refers to optimistic rollup, which basically is a new technology that's improving blockchains. And as far as my knowledge can take me, it allows a bit more privacy. It allows confirmation of identity without having to check all the parameters of someone's identity. So it's a bit technical, but it's the next kind of upgrade, the next form of technology that is affecting crypto. So BNB is a new chain with that technology, and I don't know if it's connected with this BNB chain. It seems coincidental that they've got the exact amount of 18.6 million there. Tron is another competitor. Now where is Tron here? Tron's always fairly high up. There's Tron at number 10. Tron's an old chain that it came after Ethereum, but I think it's been very popular to use for people like converting their fiat currency into stable coins denominated in US dollars. I think that's why they've done very well and they've maintained a strong presence in crypto. Anyway, you can see there they've got 13 million. Now, I also like to look at developers, because developers are working on the future of blockchains and they're working on the applications that will go on those blockchains. So you can look at core developers here. And Ethereum still remains dominant with the latest about 200 developers there. And then we've got Cosmos, Hub, Internet Computer, Kusama, Polkadot are all up there. Now these are more, they're not just smart contract platforms, they're platforms that allow new whole blockchains to operate, especially Polkadot and Cosmos. So I won't really talk about that at the moment. Sui is one of those up-and-coming chains which looks to even be a competitor to Solana. Okay, so I find that useful. There's all kinds of different metrics you can look at. Earnings, treasury, code commits, transaction count, block time. So this is really useful, but if you're just getting into crypto, it does take a lot of research. But then you have no excuse when you are investing. You really need to do a lot of research and look at things from different angles and think about what matters to you, what's of interest to you. So I thought I'd just share some of my results and why I believe in certain chains. And the funny thing is that when you get into these cryptocurrencies and smart contract platforms, you'd find they're almost like cults, in that people get so wrapped up. I guess they have these different terms. So people who are really into a blockchain, they call them a maxi. There's a lot of maxis for Bitcoin, of course. There's maxis for Ethereum. There's maxis for every chain, for Solana. And these people are like the biggest advertisers. But you have to be careful when you listen. A lot of these people, they're on YouTube, they're on Twitter. And you have to be careful if you're just listening to them, because it's kind of propaganda, and you might be kind of brainwashed into just believing one chain is just going to be the absolute winner and all other chains are hopeless, they suck, they're going to fail. And it's very hard to be objective when you're investing in this stuff. So that's why I like to do some of my own research and kind of get my own convictions. So I found that for active users, Solana is the leader. And I've looked at a lot of different chains here. Cosmos, Polkadot, and Near are having problems. I've also looked at, are they growing? Are they not growing? So those are the three winners there. So here are the devs. Sui is doing well. Aptos, Avalanche, Ethereum, Cardano, and Polkadot are doing okay. These were not mentioned, so they're not getting in the top 20, I think, chains that are mentioned for core developers. I didn't check that this time. This is developers and code commits. Oh yes, I did. Okay, so Avalanche did well there for code commits. I'll just skip over this. So I also like to look at CoinMarketCap, and I look at the circulation, supply, and inflation. When you look at CoinMarketCap, Let's go to Ethereum. So there's a lot of information here. You can't assume that it's always gospel truth either. There are many other platforms, and Ethereum will have its own websites that also monitor these kinds of things. But you can check the total supply, total coins created. Here, sorry, looking at the circulating supply. So here we have 120.72 million ETH in circulating supply. So I check this every 3 months and I take a snapshot and I compare, is it increasing or decreasing, or about the same, and how much. So you can see I've made all the results here. So I did this in April this month. Last time I checked was in November, I think. And this is the percentage increase since last November. So last time they had a 2% increase. Now BNB, which is the Binance chain, they've decreased. Circulating supply has decreased, and this has been happening over the year, over the 12 months. So I wasn't investing in Binance originally, but I've started to buy a little bit now, just because it's done very well compared to Ethereum, and it's basically deflationary. Even Bitcoin's not deflationary. It's just got very, very low inflation. Same as Ethereum, it's only 0.2%. Solana, it's increased a lot, 26%. And this is just looking at the circulating supply. It might be because of token unlocks. Companies that had Solana tokens locked up are now being released for whatever reason. And it just means that there's more on the markets, more to be to dilute the Solana economy. ADA has done pretty well. It's only a 0.6% increase. Polkadot's 2.63%. Avalanche used to be quite high, but here it's only 1.58%. Polygon, it's pretty atrocious. I think there were token unlocks or something. That's 30%. Aptos and Sui, both pretty bad, but they're younger chains. So younger chains generally have higher inflation, and after a few years the inflation dies down. It's the same with Bitcoin. Every 4 years Bitcoin has what's called a halving, and they halve the inflation number, or the amount that Bitcoin is produced. They halve that every 4 years, produced every block. So basically that's why Bitcoin is just becoming more and more popular and more valuable, because everyone knows that there's a maximum of 21 million Bitcoins, and that the rate of Bitcoin creation is decreasing, and it'll be set to become zero, I think, I don't know, in about 10 years or something. So this puts this up here puts BNB as the winner. ETH and ADA doing pretty well. So Solana, maybe it's doing great with active users, but it's not great with inflation. Now another metric, I look at market pairs. Let's go back to Ethereum. And if you look at here, it says markets. You press that. Ethereum markets. So markets mean that when you go on an exchange, you want to buy Ethereum, for example. Well, first you'll need USDC or USDT to buy Ethereum. Sometimes you can buy it directly with your fiat money, but these are the market pairs that are available on the Binance exchange. And here are all the different exchanges. So there's Bybit. You can also buy ETH with USDT. Now I count these market pairs. At the bottom here, you can see 1 to 10 out of 2,928. So every few months, I count how many market pairs are using that cryptocurrency. And these are the results. It's down here. Oh, your market pairs. And I've come to a profound conclusion that up until about a year ago, a lot of the small cryptocurrencies were purchased using the market pairs of the main layer one cryptocurrency tokens. For example, Ethereum or Solana or BNB. So if I wanted to buy a meme coin like Doge, I would buy some ETH, then go on a decentralized exchange, a DEX, and I'd buy the Doge coin with my ETH. And I'd need to buy the ETH first to buy the Doge, if that makes any sense. So remember how I said, remember how we saw that there was like 14 million different cryptocurrencies? To buy a lot of those cryptocurrencies, you first need to buy a main cryptocurrency. Now, it used to be the coins of the smart contract platforms, but more and more it's become just stable coins. So now you don't need to buy ETH, you don't need to buy Solana, you don't need to buy BNB or what have you. You just need to buy USDT or USDC. So mainly USDT, and you can see, if you can see my cursor here, that there are 46,000 market pairs with USDT. And the market pairs for all the other cryptocurrencies have been decreasing. They were increasing up until last year. And I was seeing, okay, which ones would be the most popular. And Ethereum was leading the way for sure, with over 1,000. Now suddenly they've all just, I think because smart contract coins are too volatile. They're simply too volatile. USDT is just a lot easier. It's pegged to the US dollar. So I don't really need to bother with this anymore. And that's also concerning if you're investing in these layer one chains. If you're investing in Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, etc. Because this used to be a main use case, and now it's not really a main use case because USDT is fulfilling that role. So that's some major insight for me. Now the final thing on CoinMarketCap, and the final thing I'll share in this report, is looking at CoinMarketCap ecosystems. And I recorded all these websites, the web addresses here. But if we go back to Ethereum on CoinMarketCap, and if you scroll down on the left side here, you can see these tags. And you can see Ethereum ecosystem. We press that. A bit of latency here. And this shows the top Ethereum ecosystem tokens. So all the cryptocurrency tokens that are related to or used in Ethereum are put on this under this site. And so I compare all the different smart contract platforms, and then I scroll all the way down and I look at this showing 1 out of 100 out of 3,785. So it's 3,785 different tokens that are tied to the Ethereum ecosystem. And that shows me what's growing. It's not a perfect metric by any means, but it's one way to compare all the different tokens and get some kind of conviction. And even though Solana has been doing very well, Ethereum has not stopped. And you can see here that Ethereum has increased by 342% since last time. I don't know if they changed the way they're counting these, but it's been a massive jump recently. and it wasn't normally jumping that much, but Solana still jumped quite a lot, 170%. And I've put all the results here. So there's Ethereum and Base have done really well. And then Solana is still doing pretty well. Polygon Matic, which is connected to Ethereum, has done pretty well. Sui, Aptos, okay. Arbitrum is also connected to Ethereum. So I think this includes all the layer 2s, I believe. I suspect. I don't know. But I believe it includes all the layer 2s, which is Base, Matic, Arbitrum, Optimism, and there's more. And that's why it's a huge jump. So even though a lot of people claim that Ethereum is dead, there's still a lot of developers and people building apps and tokens out there. Okay, that just about wraps it up for what I've done here. So I hope if anyone's watching you found this useful. You can leave a comment if you have any questions. And this will probably be the end of kind of my talking about general smart contract platforms, because the main aim of this channel is to look at Web3 related to music applications used in Web3, such as Audius and Noom, and what else? There's a recent one called Song Shares, which I looked at, and I'm going to share some stuff in my next couple of videos. Now, as to the million-dollar question, which smart contract platform, which layer 1 is going to dominate in the future? It's hard to say. I think it looks like Solana and Ethereum are just fighting neck and neck. Even though Ethereum doesn't have the active users, it's still got a lot of TVL. It's got a lot of money tied up in it in the form of stable coins, and there's a lot of institutional interest. So, it's really hard to say. And the thing about some of these smaller chains like Sui, Sui has more upside, I suppose, and it looks to be good for gaming. I also follow the ecosystems, and I follow some of the people who share stuff. So I don't just base my investing on this only. I do base it on other things and other reports and stuff, but this helps me get my own conviction. All right, so